This is nuclear physicist Dr. John Mullen. He discovered how to generate clean and free energy as opposed to oil. Days after this discovery, he died of arsenic poisoning. Dr. Don Wiley. He found the cure for HIV/AIDS. He mysteriously disappeared and later was found deceased. Dr. Mark A. Smith. He found a treatment for Alzheimer's. He passed away in a freak accident. This is Frank Suarez. He apparently found the cure for cancer. He mysteriously took his own life a couple of days later. I don't know, folks. This is suspicious.
Inventors, feel free to invent to your heart's content. Now that we have our king back, inventors working for the benefit and healing of humanity will be blessed with the protection of our Creator, Source. This isn't a matter of religion or faith. It is simply the truth.
I'm everywhere.
A 92-year-old Christchurch inventor claims to have come up with a novel way to make a cup of tea. He's invented a contraption that he claims uses the power of sound to boil water. Beverly Lockhart went to investigate.
Is cool to the touch and appears to be doing nothing until it comes into contact with water. 92-year-old former Spitfire pilot Peter Davey claims his invention uses the power of sound to boil water. Davey believes high-frequency sonic vibrations emitted from within the silver bulb cause the water to boil.
Device right here has sent me down the deepest rabbit hole, and that's because this is a source of free energy that has a very mysterious history and could be linked to UFOs.
But for several years now, a small group of scientists here has been investigating a strange new space-age metal, a nickel-titanium alloy called nitinol. In cold water, nitinol turns soft. Bend it and it stays bent, but in hot water it springs back with forces as high as 55 tons a square inch. No one knows quite why this happens. At room temperature, the nitinol wire springs bend easily, but in warm water they spring back, thus forcing the wheel around.
And a lot of the serious UFO researchers believe that the Battelle Memorial Institute was the organization that was given the contract to examine and test all the metals that were retrieved from the Roswell crash. And one more interesting thing about Battelle is that they are the same organization that invented coating and metals that were used on spy planes that were
Water has always been considered a precious commodity, but Stan Meyer's invention may make it even more valuable. He has developed what's called a water fuel cell. It has taken the place of his old gas tank. The water fuel cell breaks down water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogen is used to run his dune buggy.
I don't care if you use rainwater, well water, city water, ocean water. If you don't have any fresh water, go ahead and use snow. If you don't have any snow available to you, they use salt water because there's no adverse effect to the fuel cell.
Meyer started working on this project 4 years ago. He's not a scientist. He isn't even a chemist. In fact, he never graduated from college. Myers was determined, he says, to design something to protect this country from oil embargoes.
And we have calculated that if we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of water.
The Pentagon flew a lieutenant colonel in last week to look at Meyer's invention. There's talk of possibly using it in the Star Wars defense program and to run army tanks.
Hello, did you know that water can be separated into a highly combustible gas like this? Listen to the vigor of this explosion. This reaction has very little purpose outside of exploding. So, you know what else uses explosions? Vehicles. The question has always been, how do you make this efficiently? How do you make enough of it to make a difference in a 7.3 liter diesel, or anything for that matter? It's been tried 1,000 ways. This is the way they missed. This is battery-driven pumped electrolysis. Solar and grid-charged batteries driving huge versions of electrolysis reactors. 92 amps is what we're drawing. We got it dyno confirmed to know that we're making a difference in the vehicle. It drives like a brand new truck and uses very little throttle, 5% throttle to go down the damn highway. This applies to every single vehicle on planet Earth. Every single one of them. Every semi-truck hauling your groceries, every train, every cargo ship, every coal and natural gas-fired power plant in the world can accept this technology. external power to the creation of a burnable fuel. It is a systemic civilization solve for the problems that face our world.
All the water that we need it exists right here in the air.
He believed so strongly in that idea. In 2015, West invented an atmospheric water generator, or AWG, a machine that takes in air and turns it into drinking water.
We're at the place now, I think, making 50, 100, 200, 250,000, a million gallons of water at an incredibly low energy consumption. I think cheaper than groundwater by far. Cheaper than desalination.
So far, 12 of these AWGs exist. West planted them in 3 areas, including the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and Flint, Michigan.
He's been developing these technologies using plasma, and it's frequency-based. There had actually been a couple of attempts on his life, and he got so freaked out, he never went back to his laboratory. He's been developing these technologies using plasma, and it's frequency-based. At this point, I already knew that the thunderstorm generator, and I'll show you pictures of one now that's been retrofitted on a 300 kilowatt generator on a substation outside of London. And they're testing the damn thing. And it works. It does what it's predicted to do, right? I mentioned that he was on an island where he'd gone because there had actually been a couple of attempts on his life.
Consider the case of Nikola Tesla, whose pioneering work in wireless energy transmission was decades ahead of its time, yet struggled to receive the funding and support it deserved. Or the story of Stanley Meyer, who claimed to have developed a water-powered car engine, only to be met with lawsuits and claims of pseudoscience. These stories share a common theme: the challenge of introducing technologies that disrupt established industries. The media often plays a pivotal role, not just by ignoring these innovations, but occasionally mocking them, shaping public perception to view them as impractical or implausible. This derision can effectively sideline even the most promising advancements.
The invention of Adam Trombley, called the torus dynamo. Adam believed he found a way to tap unlimited free electricity from nature using special magnetic fields. In the 1990s, he began experimenting with intricate magnet designs, inspired by the torus geometric shape. Adam noted how electric and magnetic fields interacted in this configuration. To his shock, one prototype began generating measurable voltages from nowhere he could see.
And Royal Raymond Wright was a man who found a way to cure all diseases way back in the 20s or 30s. I think it was in the 1930s or the 1940s they actually had a banquet to celebrate the end of all disease due to the research and techniques that had been uncovered by Royal Raymond Wright, and he was curing incurable diseases, and he did it through sound frequency. And what he would do, he would put a blood sample under the microscope and he would look at your blood sample and he would subject the sample to a series of light frequencies. Because every light you apply, when you go through frequencies of light and you put them on an object, different frequencies of light will illuminate different aspects of the object. Like if you put frequencies of light on a blood slide, different organisms or viruses or bacteria in the blood will become illuminated under certain lights. And Wright figured out that all you have to do is go through the light frequency until you find the light that illuminates the virus, and then find the corresponding sound frequency, bombard the virus with that sound frequency, and it will shatter like a crystal glass shatters on high C. All you have to do is find the corresponding sound frequency, and you will create a feedback loop which will shatter the virus.
Instead of paying almost $4 for gas, how would you like to run your car on salt water?
Retired TV station owner and broadcast engineer John Kansas was not looking for an answer to the energy crisis. He was looking for a way to cure cancer. Why not use radio waves to kill the cancer cells? Here are the basics of John's idea. Radio waves will heat certain metals like gold. Tiny bits of that metal are injected into a cancer patient. Those nanoparticles are attracted to the abnormalities of the cancer cell and ignore the healthy cells. The patient is then exposed to radio waves and only the bad cells heat up and die. Killing cancer cells is amazing, but John had also stumbled on yet another amazing breakthrough. You have enough in there? His machine could actually burn salt water. John Kansas discovered that his radio frequency generator could release the oxygen and hydrogen from salt water and create an incredibly intense flame. This simple Stirling engine is running with the heat generated by the flames coming off that test tube. The fuel, nothing more than salt water.
Well, that could be a steam engine, a steam turbine. Could be a car engine if you wanted it to be.
The Hendershot generator. Lester Hendershot was an American inventor in the late 1920s, claimed to have developed a device capable of generating free energy. The Hendershot generator, as it came to be known, was said to harness the Earth's magnetic field to produce electricity without the need for fuel. This remarkable invention had the potential to revolutionize the world's energy landscape, offering an unlimited source of power that could render traditional energy sources obsolete. Lester Hendershot's invention was described as a self-running generator, a device that purportedly created energy through a series of coils and capacitors without the need for an external power source. The Cloudbuster. Although we already talked about Wilhelm Reich's orgone accumulator, the healing device that used orgone energy to cure many people, this wasn't the only invention made by Reich. This energy could be harnessed for various purposes, including the manipulation of weather. According to Reich, orgone energy was present throughout the atmosphere and could be concentrated and directed to dissolve cloud formations, thereby inducing rainfall. The Cloudbuster device, developed in the 1950s, was the practical application of his theories. It consisted of a set of hollow tubes connected to cables that were immersed in water, which Reich claimed could draw orgone energy from the atmosphere and direct it to disperse cloud cover or, conversely, to form clouds and precipitate rain.